Hello homeschoolers, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel. Today I'm going to give you an update on my 4th graders homeschool curriculum. Okay, so you guys know notebooking is like the heart of our homeschool method, and we are currently using my unofficial RC notebook level 3. We continued this one on from last year, and let's see how far I was getting to this notebook. Okay, so far got this much left. I think I'm going to actually switch up which notebooks I'm using with him when he is done with this notebook. I'm still thinking on it. I'm working on something. So I think what I'm thinking about doing is moving him into my McGuffey's Third Reader notebook, companion, like reading and writing notebook. But I haven't created the companion or the match to that, the everything else level 3 notebook, so that he can have all his subjects. And it may be in 2 notebooks, but that's, I think, manageable. I'm doing that with my 1st grader with the primer. So yeah, I think I'm giving myself until the end of this notebook to get that project done. Let's go through. I've been looking around. I've got so many books piled around me on my desk. I'm going to go through first what he does outside of his notebook, because this is like his independent studies. But like our family subjects, I'll go through those first and let you know how those are going. And then we'll move into kind of like page by page, what resources he's using with each page and how it's going. Okay, let's go. So you guys know, just a little bit of a preface, I love the Robinson curriculum. It lives in my head all the time. And it helps keep me anchored so I don't go like too totally bonkers. But I'm not an RC purist, and I feel I'm moving in that direction. But there's just sometimes there's just some things I want to do, and the things that I think are worthwhile, and I'll explain. Like the RC method is a completely self-teaching, independent method, especially in I think that there is benefit to family subjects, explicit instruction, and even some incidental instruction. So I will talk about those things as they come up as I'm moving through the subjects. So I'll share my morning basket video, my most recent one, down below if you want to see that, because I do have like a morning basket time. I've got 3 boys. They are ages 13. William just turned 9 yesterday. 9 now. He's in 4th grade. And 6. He's a 1st grader. Yeah, William, he's in 4th grade, but he's like as young as you can possibly be in a grade without skipping a grade. But yeah, just maybe keep that when I say 4th grade, he is a young 4th grader. Okay. So we do for morning time subjects together and like history. So we are doing The Good and the Beautiful. We're on year 3. And I talk about this all the time, how it's discontinued, but you can still get the PDF versions of the textbooks. And I believe you can still buy like the timeline stickers and stuff like that. Of course, I think you can find the readers that go along with it. And people might be selling these, used like on eBay and stuff like that. But we're going through that. We do history pretty much every single morning. Everyone all together now. And something that I loved about this program, and you can buy these still too on PDF form, is they actually break it down to 4 age groups. They have notebooking pages. There's not one for necessarily every single lesson, but so I just printed out the ones I needed at grades 1 through 3, right, 4 through 6, and my oldest gets the 7 through 9, and then there's one more for 10 through 12. So you can do your whole family together. So I'm just going to pull out Williams. Because I am teaching this kind of like extra subject, or going through it with him, I don't have a page for that in the unofficial RC notebook we use. I could, instead of having him read an independent book and being, and taking book notes and things on that, I could have him do work for his history there. But I just don't, because I like him reading those independent. I like him reading his RC books. So this is something I'm adding on, not replacing, if that makes sense. So I do think that there is a benefit to their reading comprehension to read to them, cover different, subjects. I think it's beneficial for them to hear me reading, pronouncing certain words. There's just so much, even when we just read literature together, like there's so much just stopping and be like, do you know what that word means? And just discussing things that come up incidentally, right? So his pages, because I don't have a place in his notebook, I just have him when there is a notebooking page to do. Let's see. So his next one will be lesson 14. And so there's 2 pages to go along. These are like timeline. There's like a timeline page and something else is with this for his age group. And I just have them, go read the lesson. Sometimes there's something to listen to that comes along with it too. And you just access that through their website. But then if they just do their notebooking page, I just have him turn it right back into me. And I just, have a binder clip. Like here's his last one he did. And I just have him hand it right back into me and I check it. And I just put it to the back. So by the time we're done with the course, I'll just have an entire stack of these. They'll be binder clipped, and I'll probably just put it as his, with our records, with our work samples for the year. And so, we keep all of our notebooks. We fill up because the kids love to look at them. So, yeah, that's my system. And I just have a folder. I don't know if you are. I'm always interested in how people stay organized. I'm going to tell you explicitly, okay? In my little desk, I'm sitting at my desk right now. In my bottom left-hand drawer, I have all of our history stuff. So I have our timeline stickers and like some few things that we've little activities that we've made over the years. I just kind of have all binder clipped together. And I don't know if you can see me. You can see part of it. I have the timeline that came with it on the wall. And the lessons tell you when to give your kid a sticker and to have them put it on which timeline. So anyways, I just have that. And then I just keep a file with all of their notebooking pages in there and the course books and whatever the current read aloud that is going along with it is right here. So currently I'm just alternating lessons and read aloud days. So we're getting 4 history days a week because we don't do it on Thursday because we go to co-op. So I will just alternate if we are doing a lesson day, like a lesson, and then a read aloud day. So in the book, the lessons will prompt you to do this whole lesson and then the read aloud. It says, do you read aloud? And then sometimes there's even games and stuff I forgot to show you the games. I'm going to show you the games in a separate video because somebody asked me for a games video, and I'm going to go through all the games that we play that go through our different curriculums and subjects. But there are games that you can play, history games, which my kids love, but that just takes too long. That would take hours to get through the lesson and a read aloud and a game. That'd be all morning. That's all we'd be able to do. And honest to God, I'd be burnt out after that. I'd be I gotta go take a nap. I gotta go lie down. So I will do a lesson day and lesson and notebooking if there's a notebook assignment to do it with it. Sometimes there's extra little assignments for my 8th grader that aren't notebooking pages, but they'll say to have him look something up or whatever, so he might have to do that. And then I do read aloud and game days on alternate days. So that's how we space it out a little bit. And everybody really enjoys these courses. There's no tests, there's no quizzes, this is not meant to be stressful. This is, for me, it's just feeding them background knowledge to aid in their reading comprehension. That's what my goal is with this stuff. So that's one subject down. So this is his little action Bible. This is the one that the older 2 boys have. So I'm following the reading plan with them from the Bible recap, and there is a kids one, but I'm just using the regular one with them. And what I was finding is I was trying to do the kids one with them, and some of it probably was, I don't know, might have been I like it, but it might have been a little young for my middle schooler, He could do a little bit more. And then I was trying to do this on my own, and I was just finding that I wasn't getting around to doing mine. I was let's just do this one together. Let's just do one as a family. And so that's been much better being consistent. So We read whatever the assigned reading is. For a long time, I let the kids listen to a dramatized version and they're supposed to like read along. I've kind of dropped that lately and we're just reading it. I feel like they're old enough to like just read the Bible and practice that. And like we may all, us three older, like me and the two older boys, my youngest, he's just kind of like, he's got to be in here. He's kind of usually drawing or sketching and kind of, I try to keep him involved, but it's a little bit hard. But I don't worry about it too much because I have a separate Bible resource for him. But yeah, now that they're 13 and 9 now, we are just alternating who's reading the chapters. So you end up reading like 2 to 3 chapters usually. And then we listen actually to the Bible recap on YouTube for the right day. And then I go over these with them. So we've been I just fill it out like as we're talking, right? And we may just look up answers or whatever. So there's no paper clutter for them for that one at all, because it's all just discussion, reading and discussion with me. Okay, so once our morning time is done, once that's done, that's what we're currently doing, he will move into his notebook. There are a few things in here that he does with me. Yeah, I've been keeping track, of his curriculum, like what he's covering in each notebook and like what books he's read. I need to update this actually. Which ones he's read. It's right, because he's still reading 5 Little Peppers and How They Grow. So he's read all these ones. I'm still waiting to fill in that date because he's still reading it. First, he has things he can do independently. It's just math. This is from back when we were doing Right Start Math, which he actually could not do independently, which was causing some issues for us. So let me show you. Let me skip forward to him more recently. Okay, here's one he did more recently. This is from his Study Arithmetics, book 3. If you want to hear my whole vintage math books saga, I'll link some videos for you in the description box. But I was using Number Stories with my youngest. I was really loving them. And the only problem is I had a Number Stories book 3 and I actually started William into that because I just needed him to, I'll show you what it looks like. I'm gonna grab it. Okay. So I was using this one and it's kind of hard to see. And I love it. This one was published in 1934 and it's like a full color math book. I love it. It is just, there's no like answer keys in the back or anything. I looked and looked and looked. I have scoured the internets. I cannot find any answer keys for this. I had him try what we do is we set his timer for 30 minutes. So he just works through for 30 minutes, however far he gets. And then if he's in the middle of a section, like if he's doing a problem set, I told him like if the timer goes off, just go ahead and finish it. And then check your work. So he was using a calculator, but I kept finding that he'd actually done stuff right and then marked it wrong. Probably because he wasn't like clearing his there's too much room for human error with that method. So I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. So I tracked down a Study Arithmetics 3. So this is basically a comparable book. It's written by the same authors. Was it Studebaker, Finley, Knight, and Rush, maybe? Rush? This one was published in 1947 and had a plainer cover, but it's still a full color textbook. Oh, this page is ripped. Oh, that's sad. We didn't do that page anyways. I started him later in the book. So I had to transition. I was transitioning from Right Start Math to this, which is just like completely different. They're not on the same scope and sequence really. So Right Start has a lot more focus on geometry right from the beginning. So I just kind of which I'm not that concerned about, to be honest. So I kind of just flipped through until I came to a spot which I think was about where he was like arithmetic wise and started him there. And so now he is just working his way through this on his own. There's a lot of reading. He's finally able to an age where his reading comprehension is a lot, obviously stronger, but that I feel comfortable with him reading directions on his own and then checking his work and stuff. It says, let me read this checking up on the year's work. It says, these 7 pages, these are in the back of the book. These 7 pages will help you check up on how well you have learned this year's number work. If you do not remember some of these things, study the pages whose numbers are at the right of the examples or questions. And it has the pages, so there's these little review tests at the end that we could focus on, which I thought would be great for like summer work too. Kind of depending on whenever we finish. But yeah, when we get to the end of the book, there's a place where we can test. And if he doesn't know it, we can go back to those pages. So this one, the contents of this book, in case you're wondering, are, so there's pages 4 all the way through 87 are review of the previous year's work. So I wasn't worried about that. And then there was new basic facts in addition and subtraction, addition without carrying, subtraction without borrowing. Then it moves on to addition with carrying, then subtraction with borrowing, multiplication with 2 and 3, and division with 2 and 3, and then the review of the year's work. So he is on page 162 or 163. So he is still in addition with carrying. They also do like money and time is kind of put in throughout the units too. Look at this cute. There's like a little map they follow on this one. They're really sweet books. I think they're really well done. So the end of this unit is page 207. And there's at the very end, they're at reading and writing money. I know we definitely did a money one the other day. Okay, so then there's a checking up at the end of the chapter. The work on this page will help you check up on how well you remember what you have learned. So yeah, basically there's a little review test at the end of every unit. It doesn't say test, but that's what they're testing with their knowledge. So yeah, so there's a little built-in checking up section. So I like that. I don't have to plan that out. He just comes to it when he comes to it. Okay, so what I had to have though was I had to have a answer key. So I actually bought 3, 4, and 5 of the study arithmetics. So that's roughly grades 3, 4, and 5, according to their standards at the time. Of course, I'm not really that worried about, we school year round. So even if he's only about halfway through this year 3 book, so that he'll start the grade 4 book this year probably. But we go over the summer too. So I never worry about really being behind if, we just keep working. So I bought these PDF forms of the teacher guidebooks that were written to go with these. And I buy them from forgottenbooks.com. I'll link them all for you too. And what I did is I just bound them all together. I actually have, so here. And then when we get to this one, I just flip it over and then that'll be the front for the next level. 5's in here too. And then I he's got a bookmark in here to show because he's keeping track with his work. But these tabs I put on there, I just stuck on there. So the first part of the teacher's guidebook is assuming that the teacher is standing at the front of the classroom and teaching, whatever. So there's lesson notes to the teacher for each section of pages. So you can read that if you want to. I don't want to. I just want him to do it and then check his answers. So I just marked with the tabs the answers, where they start. Oops. So then all he has to do is use this to check his work when he gets to those sections. And then I do have him use the calculator to find his percentage because he has to get, it's like an RC thing, an 85% or higher. Otherwise, he has to redo that lesson or that portion over again the next day. Okay, so this is new. This is an update. So far, it seems to be going fine. He's never had to redo a lesson. I think he's, been getting 90 to 100% on all of his assignments so far. Then we're going to come to chapter or book summary page. Oh, here's one right now. So we are sticking pretty closely to the Robinson curriculum reading list. This is his independent reading. I like to have him, start the day with things that he can do independently, because what I like to do is to jump from morning time to working with my first grader. I like to be working with him, so I need William to continue on with something independent. So there's a couple things he can do. He can do his I try to tell him just do the next thing on your page, but if you come to a page that he needs me on, just to skip it if I'm busy and go to the next thing he can do independently until I can do. There's a couple things I do still do with him. Okay, so he can read independently, right? So he can read. I would probably be assigning him like 40 minutes of reading time, like straight reading at this age, at this level, and then having him do his chapter notes, or maybe 35 minutes of reading and then stop and do your chapter notes for 5 or 10 minutes. Because I use the Easy Peasy readers to access a lot of the things off the RC book list. So right now he's reading Five Little Peppers and How They Grow or Grew, I can't remember. And there are lessons, like they have the reading. That book is contained within this reader. And there are lessons, like he's going to be, next lesson is lesson 143. And she'll have a little activity or response for each reading section in there. It says finish reading chapter 17, tell someone about the chapter, what do you think will happen next? So a lot of times when the stuff, I'll just say like, don't tell me, like write it down. Like if it says tell someone about the chapter, that means just write me a quick summary and then say what do you think will happen next, right? So he could do that. The way this page is formatted, there's kind of like 3. So that he could do a summary and then like, what do you think will happen next? And he can draw pictures in here if he wants to. There's also something fun that we do. I mean, if it's just a regular book, or if it's an RC book that's not in an Easy Peasy reader, so we don't have those little response questions, I have him either just write a summary, right, of what he read, or I use our book report, like Lapbook starter kit, and I'll link everything for you, but these are things he can fill out. He can fill out one, he can do the cover, he can fill out little things. You can see some of these things he's already cut out because he's used them. We can do the character show and tell. So here's like a pocket, and then he glues that in, and then he does character cards. Here's like the character cards. All right, so I've got one for a protagonist, antagonist, supporting character, multiple supporting characters, right? Just as they come up, and he can make a card on a character and put it in. So if he was doing a lap book, I mean, he could just be making this as he goes and combining them. We did that one time when he was younger. It was really cute. I'll try to find that video and link it for you. It was a Arthur Scott Bailey book, and it was really fun. If you wanted to do this, focus on the setting, he could do that. So he can use these. He can make a little, I like all these interactive notebook pages. So he can do, this one says main conflict and resolution, and there's a section for main conflict and resolution. You can fill those out. And those are things that I'm happy to talk with him about if that's like hard for him. There's also, he can make a vocabulary flashcard game. So the RC is known for its vocabulary program. It's got a vocab list for every single book. So I can have him make, I've got a bunch, I printed out a ton of these pages, but they're vocab flashcards. And so we can make a memory game. So that is like, he could either write, the word and the definition, like make 2 cards, or he could write the word on one card and the definition on another card. And then when we play, we try to match those up. So if he wanted to like work on that, he could. When it gets to the end of the book, we can do key events, right? So again, it's kind of like a pocket you make. And then he can write what the key events were on the keys. He can collect, he could be making chapter notes as he goes and collect them all and make this little flip book at the end. I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff we can do. Some of those we do at the very end. Anyway, so he's done some of those interactive notebooking things for his chapter stuff also. Spelling and vocabulary page right here. This is one of the ones that somebody's asking me this recently, like if I have to like write anything into plan. We are using McGuffey Spelling Level 3. This is like, the notebook, it's everything's put together. But I just print out the spelling lists, or if you bought the book, you could take a copy or something. Use it as a bookmark. And then I've just gone through and just marked each day in the book, like lesson 15, D for day 5. And I think there's 7 days worth of activities. You can combine them or pick and choose which ones you'd want your kid to use, but I do match that. I do mark it on here or write it on here for him so he knows what spelling page he's on, because he is prone to like get off on that and like not move his little bookmark forward in his workbook, the blank pages. So I definitely could just have him doing his spelling work in here, and then that would not happen because it would just be the next page. And I could be doing something differently with I could be using the vocabulary words from their RC books or whatever. The reason I'm choosing to do it this way, one, I just wanted to keep everything in one notebook as much as possible. Two, because I'm not RC Pure, because we're daily doing the McGuffey readers still, we have vocab words for the McGuffey readers. So I didn't want to have a vocab list for the McGuffey readers plus a vocab list for the RC books plus a spelling word list. That's just like too many words to like always be focusing on. So what I did for right now in the elementary years is I swap actually my RC vocab for spelling, because I think it's important that they learn the spelling rules and focus on like morphology and things like that first. Once they've got a good foundation with like spelling and prefixes, suffixes, and things like that, then I'll shift over to just the RC, just vocabulary list for the books. So he can do that spelling on his own. He knows how to do it by now. All these things, though, I do come over. I just tell him, when you're done, just bring it to me to check it. I'm just checking things throughout the day, because if it's wrong, there's really no point in doing work if they're doing it wrong, right? It's like ingraining wrong things in their head. So I do want to be checking that throughout the day as soon as he's done. I'm like, just bring it to me, because if he needs to redo it, I want it to be done as quickly as possible, so that if he's done something wrong, that wrong information is erased and written over with the right stuff. Okay, for the McGuffey readers, I use the reading lesson section. So when I was designing these, I was like, you could just use these with the RC books, right? You could, I put the phonics or affix squares up here. So, let's talk a little bit about explicit versus incidental instruction. So what I've been doing with William for the third reader so far is, and it kind of, the book kind of switches over halfway. There's a slight format change, but for most of it so far that we've been doing, there are these vocab lists. So if there was any type of phonics, like any type of more advanced phonogram that he hadn't seen, he still struggles sometimes with the shun spellings, Tion, Sion, Cion. So like if there was stuff like that, if we wanted to focus on that was coming up in the reading, that would be where I'd be writing those in. I'd be writing shun and then like some example words or whatever. Or if there was some sort of, I might have them put in the how it sounds, like the like how you see in dictionaries, how they write the phonetic spelling of something. We've also been focusing on, though, just any prefixes or suffixes or occasionally root words that we see in the vocabulary list. We've been making, just as we go, I kind of sit down to plan at the beginning of the week or over the weekend, and I'm just making little cards for him as, things that we saw as we went. And so I'd put like the meaning, if there was pronunciation, if that was helpful, and then the origin Latin, and I'd put some example words down. Even if I had to look it up real quick, if I had to Google it or something to make the card, just so that we were breaking down the words, and then we would go over those words. Depends on how long the list is. We might do it like chunk by chunk throughout the week. We might do like 3 at a time or 5 at a time or whatever. The list lengths kind of vary. But then we would do that work in the, new reading section, new reading words section, right? So he's writing his reading words in this one. And we're just making a review pile, and he's like quizzing himself every morning. Like, so we just set up a little reading routine. You can do whatever you want to with that page. Like, I've just made a reading routine with him where we're focusing on like the word parts and then word meanings, right? And then the passage. So I'll have him read to me. I was going to show you something. I don't know if I've showed you this before. Let me show you something new. So I bought this. It's a whisper phone that kids can hear themselves. they can whisper and read really quietly to themselves. So I feel like I should make a separate video. If you want me to make a separate video where I go over our current McGuffey's third reader reading routine, daily reading routine, leave me a comment and I'll make that video. But it's gonna take, I get too into it and there's so many little details, it'll take forever. All right, then he's got copywork / grammar page. So, right, so it's a page. If it could be doing either copywork or grammar. I said copywork because that is the RC recommendation, is to do copywork like all the way through 5th grade. I did do a lot of copywork for like kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. Starting in 3rd grade though, I started into the Gentle Grammar series, and this is what we use for their writing. And of course, I just keep an eye on their handwriting, you know, as they are doing their exercises. But yeah, there's just like about roughly one lesson a day. Every once in a while, there might be a little bit of a long lesson. We split into 2 days. But we love this series. There's 4 levels. He's definitely going to get through levels 3 and 4 this year. Yeah, so you can see this is one that was like a continued. It was a day we had to split into 2 days, but he's always doodling. Do you guys have doodlers in your class too, in your homeschool? So yeah, if we need to talk about something, we'll talk about something. But I just like to be able to give him feedback. Every once in a while I'll have him rewrite something. But yeah, but that's what we're doing for writing right now, is just Gentle Grammar. I have him do it, like I said, I use these like textbooks. I do have him do his work in his notebook. So even if there was something that was like a fill-in set, like in a sentence, I have him write the whole sentence because I want more writing. I want him to like, you know, see the whole thing in context and go through that whole thing. Where I see, so this is like, you know, scaffolding, right? This is got structure for him to work within. What I really keep my eye on is how is it translating when he has to write his book notes and chapter summaries and stuff like that. Like, is he able to translate what he's learning from his grammar and like spelling and stuff too, right, into his own sentences here? So this is another place where he gets feedback for writing. But yeah, I think that's I really like this combination of like scaffolding, you know, explicitly teaching little rules and things, and then putting it into action, and he gets feedback for both. Oh, I forgot to say, yeah, for spelling, you know, he's got his flashcards, right? We play some like flashcard games. I'll go over that during our like game video. He's got his spelling rules flashcards, and he needs those for at least one of his activity days for each lesson in his spelling program. I also have this set. This is a small set of just like beginner, like common prefixes and suffixes. So yeah, if you were like, this is like the incidental, you know, like just words that you come across that you want to study, the word parts that you notice. This would be explicit instruction where you maybe already have, this is back to that reading page. You've already determined like what order you have a scope and sequence, and you're studying those, and like you could put in example words, right? And maybe you could even write example sentences here or something. Or you could do that even on the spelling and vocabulary page if you just wanted to study words, like word parts separately. So that's what I like about these pages I made, is they're so versatile. Sometimes I have so many ideas about how I can use these pages and things that I can do. I have to like, no, stick to one for a while. Like don't be too spastic and all over, because I really do feel like routine and consistency is the way that they get. I mean, how else are they going to really hone in if I'm constantly like changing the format of everything? But yeah, I do have these these come together in a set. Well, they come together in a purchase, but I'll link them for you. Okay, so then, this is all the ones he's made this year too. Just so he's got, I think he's like almost to like 60 prefixes, suffixes, a few root words in there that we've pulled out of that third McGuffey reader. I don't know if I'm going to keep going studying them that way forever. I might. I don't know. Okay, so that's it for the notebook and his family subjects. The only other thing I have in his basket is the shortcut to Danielian. I printed this one a while back. Every once in a while, I just like to have it because if there's like a time where, I don't know, if I'm just noticing that his like cursive needs some more work, because we don't focus on that like a ton, but I've had him, he can start working through this, or if he's like waiting for me for something, I'll be like, hey, just do a lesson in your cursive workbook. So yeah, that's something that I do have available, but we don't use it a ton. I do want cursive to be something that he can access when he wants to, and I do think it's a good exercise for their hands and everything, so that is in there, but we don't use it that often. So yeah, everything's going great. He's doing really well. I'm thinking about if I'm either going to finish this notebook and move on to level 4 with him, or if I'm going to take some time to do the McGuffey Companion Reading and Writing Notebook, but I've got to create an everything else notebook to go along with that. So I'm still thinking about that. I've got a little bit of time to decide. Just too many good options, you know? Okay, if you want my current McGuffey Level 3 reading routine and how I put that together, like what that looks like for us for a week, it's on like a weekly schedule, leave me a comment about that and I will work on that one for you, because I feel like the bulk of my brain power goes into reading instruction right now. So yeah, my brain's already there. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.